Hi, I'm Dan from Ausgel,
I'm Kam, or Kam Iqar Ze.
and today I'm having a chat with Kam Iqar Ze. So Cam, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. You've become quite popular, influential and controversial in the gel blaster community. Tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into gel ball.
I love controversy, and I'm an asshole. No, so look, I originally I was an avid lover of paintball.
Yep.
And the problem is that I couldn't sell enough drugs to support my paintball habit. That's actually a joke. I've never sold drugs, but yeah, it was just too expensive. Like I'd go out, it was $200 a day, and then gel blasters came in. It was $20 for a game if I owned my own gel blaster. I was able to get my fix of my COD fix, and get exercise in at the same time. I just found it really healthy. Like a lot of my really close mates today.
Yeah.
I think I've only got a small handful of mates outside of this community.
Yeah.
Most of my very close friends are within this community, and they're guys that I've met. They're guys that I've played alongside, and we've gotten to know each other just through that process.
I think that's how it is for a lot of us in gel ball as well. So you make a lot of really close friends in this community that you tend to just hold on to.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, look, mate, next question for you.
Yep.
What's your go-to gameplay style? Because surely I look at you and I think he's a speedy boy.
Hard out speedy boy. I like to get the leather tights out, my cycling helmet, and the Lycra zip-up shirt. At the moment, CQB is definitely my preferred style. I'm a big fan. So I don't know if you've heard, Urban Gel Ball have just sponsored me as well. So
Awesome.
I play quite a fair bit out there. I also like Rapid Vantage. I play out there a lot. Indoor CQB is perfect for me. I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse when I say this, but I've got back issues. I've got a twisted pelvis, and so running around outdoors isn't necessarily good for my body structure.
Yeah.
So being on flat ground is actually a lot more healthier for me, and I really like shooting people close up.
Little bit sadistic, but totally understand what you're saying though. So that's cool.
It gives me a reason to use pistols. Even though mine's currently broken, it gives me a reason to use pistols, which I love. Like I'm an avid pistol shooter, so I love that stuff. And so indoor at the moment is definitely my thing, but I'm also open to midnight mill sims.
Okay.
So when I was at Adoni, we had a camp out with the Team Reaper.
Okay,
they
one of the oldest teams in the industry, aren't they?
They were the original team.
Yeah. So shout out to the Reapers there.
Yeah. Shout out to the Reaper squad. They were you guys were the original squad in the entire gel ball industry, and they do a camp out with us. And when I was working at Adoni, and we'd play these games where there would be six guys defending the tower, the Reaper tower. The guy in the tower was allowed a torch, like a flashlight, like a spotlight. Yeah. And nobody else was allowed torches. And then the six guys attacking were allowed to come from any direction outside of the top panel field. Yeah. You just basically walk out 20 meters, you respawn, you come back in. The objective was to sneak up under the tower, crack a glow stick, shake it so that it was fully glow, and then throw it in under the tower, and that was the objective. And these games would last for 2 hours. And so we played 2 versions of the game. So we played it flipped. I went through half a mag, died once, got 4 kills, and today it remains my favourite game that I've ever played. Like, it was just really slow, really tactical, you really had
and your gel ball kills actually meant something.
Yeah, man. You really had to think about it. And I was fortunate that the guy that, I think it was Ronnie was shooting at me with glow gels. Yeah. And I was inside CQB1, and I popped out of the side and I shot Ronnie, and Ronnie shot at me with glow gels, and I was like wearing a jacket, and I was like, holy shit, did he hit me? And I'm like checking my jacket, and I'm like, oh, thank fuck, you know, there's no glow on me. He didn't hit me. Like, sorry, Ronnie.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the funny stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just going to play a short clip now.
Oh, God.
And then we're going to talk about it.
Oi, contact left! You know what would make this better? If I had a slouch hat. Breaker, 214, 10-4 rubber ducky. Yeah, bro, yeah. My whole life is like a government secret. Yeah, because I spent so long in like the French Foreign Legion. Is that meant to happen, bro? Oh, dude, there's someone with a camera. But everyone.
All right. So that was a clip from Mr. Operator.
Yep.
All right. Tell me what your what the intention was there, and where did that inspiration come from?
I was reffing 20 hours of gameplay footage a weekend, and just some of the stuff that you would hear come out of people's mouths, and you kind of stop and think, did I really just hear that? And like, it's easy for me to forget that these people are just, they're just civilians who, you know, like I'm a civilian myself, but they're just civilians who are out there playing army. Yeah. So they kind of tend to pick up on these things that they hear in movies and stuff. Like, legitimately, my first video was called Contact Left. We were on the speedball field that was built at Donnybrook there. Yeah. And like there's gels flying everywhere. The game's been on for 2 minutes and I hear this guy yell out, "Contact left." And I'm like, no shit. Like, that's like the most superfluous information I've ever heard. Like, there's no reason for that, dude. Like, come on. And just all the funny stuff that I'd hear, and just kind of like some of the attitudes that you would get from some of the players as they like people would come in as new players and they'd meet friends and they'd form little cliques, and you'd get all of like the real kind of the real mil-simmy kind of guys, and you know, you'd get the guys that, you know, do the whole like pretend they're, you know, practicing their pistol draws, like terrible pistol draws, but you know, practicing them anyway, and just some of the stuff like dudes just getting absolutely smashed by gels and being like, "No, man, I haven't been hit," you know, and just it was a way for me making videos out there was a way for me to kind of vent my frustration, because I was just like at the point of mental breakdown. I was like, how am I just going to live with dealing with these people? and
I'm sure you've seen the odd sort of chicken wing or two.
I've seen plenty of that
as well.
I've seen plenty of that. So one of the joys that I had in that job was being able to, because when I was playing paintball, I was watching a lot of actual combat theory videos. Yeah. So, and one of them was Gabe Suarez with the AK-47 fighting rifle, which is a fantastic. I would recommend that video to anyone. I think it's a 2-part video. You might have to download it. But yeah, so it's an old video, and he would basically talk about, so if you're kneeling up against a cover and you're about to shoot right, you should have this. Your right knee should be down so that your left leg can be out balanced, and you're not exposed. And then chicken winging, none of that. Like, you know, like tighten up, make yourself a really small target, and that kind of stuff. And so like one of the joys for me was to be able to coach the new player in how to do it. And then you just get those arrogant guys that go, "Oh, I know what I'm doing," like, fuck off, you know. And
then the chicken wing comes out.
Yeah, and they're the guys that end up in the videos.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, dear. Yeah. All right, well, speaking of your videos and your channel content, so Kam Iqar Ze TV, for those who don't know, you've undergone a little bit of a transformation, shall we say. Tell us why.
Yeah, you may notice that that clip that you've just shown has a lot of swearing cut out of it. When I first started, I was very loose. It wasn't meant to become as big as what it was. Like it was just me trying to I was just being a dick. And I honestly did not expect it to become so popular among people. Like, it got to a point I'd like go to a servo to fill up fuel, and I'd walk in, and the clerk would be like, "Oh, hi, Cam." Like, what? And this thing just like it grew out of control. It really grew out of control. And I think the reason that it actually did grow out of control was because I had my attitude is that I'm about the player, and I'm very against. I've been very vocal recently about warranty policies and stuff like that surrounding people spending a lot more money on blasters and stuff like that. And so when I hear about retailers ripping people off and doing the wrong thing, I'm very vocal about that. Obviously, I do a little bit more investigation now than what I did back then. I used to just fly off at the handle. And it went from me attacking a retailer based on his behavior, and it actually ended up turning into something that was very personal and something that was very toxic. And so it was kind of like rappers with beef. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, check this shit out. This is hilarious." And everybody found it really funny. And it actually got really, really serious, where it was actually like, it was affecting my mental health. It was affecting the retailer who I was calling out. It was affecting his mental health. And it kind of just like, I was getting death threats in my inbox from his customers. And like, to be fair, they were all like plastic gangsters who, you know, I was just like, "Come to my house, bro. Like, you know, my dog will eat you on the way in, but you can try."
That doesn't sound like anyone in the gel ball industry.
No, I've never heard anybody threaten.
No.
I've never heard any threats in this industry. But yeah, no, I was getting legitimate death threats and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what, like, this is ridiculous when someone who it has nothing to do with is inboxing me for no reason, saying I'm gonna bash your skull in, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What have I done to you? You know what I mean? Like, I can understand if the retailer that I called in was like, "I'm gonna break your legs," I'd be like, "Oh, that's fair enough." But but anyway, so since then, look, I buried the hatchet with that retailer. I went in, I sat down, I talked with him. We actually had a very mature conversation about that, and we talked about, you know, the fact that it was affecting both of our mental health. We actually became friends through that process. Not that we like touch dicks or anything, but we're, you know, like, we talk occasionally and we get along quite well. And every now and then we have like a pretty good conversation. But you know, so it's kind of good that I can remove that toxicity. And so one of the things that I've also tried to do is I've stopped, and I didn't make videos for a while, and I was having this conundrum of, I'm trying to promote, because I was at the field, and I'm trying to promote like family values. I'm trying to promote that this stuff is good for people.
Bit of positivity.
I'm trying to promote that this stuff is really good, but I'm releasing all of this content, and I'm dropping C-bombs left, right, and center.
Yeah.
I'm swearing my head off. I'm just absolutely feeding it to squeezes, and I should probably just, you know, like, and so I decided to really back it up and just clean it up, because a lot of the players in this industry now are kids. It was grown men. Now there's a lot of kids. They don't need to be hearing that stuff. Their parents don't want them to be hearing that stuff. And you know, like it or not, I've become a public representative of gel ball. Therefore, you know, am I representing the industry in a way that I want the industry to be represented?
Now, that's actually a really good point you raised there, because the next thing I want to talk about is a video that you've just released where you actually go through and you explain a lot of what's been explained by weapons licensing, QPS weapons licensing. You were there at the meeting. We're actually in the same room, I believe. But it's one of the things I like, because, I mean, you speak about toxicity, and I actually think that one of the most, toxic things I see in this industry is the fear-mongering. So, the world's ending, you know, everything's going to get banned, and that's not necessarily the case. And, I tell you what, so many people have watched that video, including a lot of major retailers as well. And, and they're sending through their kudos as well, because, I mean, what you've said in that video is fairly plain and blunt. And I think it really reflects the truth of what's actually being passed on from QPS.
Oh, 100%.
So talk us through a bit of that.
So, I do have to admit I did make a couple of errors in that video in my misunderstanding of firearms laws and firearms regulations. And I've spoken to a couple of shooters since then who have corrected me, and like they inboxed me. They weren't like arrogant and being like, "Oh, you're a dickhead and you stuff this up." They said, hey, look, you've got this wrong. This is actually how the regulation states. This is probably what you should say. And then I was actually on the phone to that guy on the way here. And I said, dude, by all means, all that stuff that you inboxed to me and all that stuff that you've just told me, please comment that on my video, because I'd love to start that conversation. Because if I'm wrong, I want to be corrected.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be giving out the wrong information, because that's what's been happening this whole time. And it's been this, oh my God, there's a meteor going to hit Earth and it's called anti-gel ball. And it's there is one major concern through some people about the prescribed items, which I don't know a great deal of. I'm not going to go right into it, but people are concerned that the governor is just going to turn around and go, all right, we're going to do an amnesty, hand in your gel blasters. But you and I were both sitting in that meeting, and you and I both heard them say, you don't have to be a member of a club or an association. If me and two of my mates want to play in my backyard, that's a club.
Yep.
So I don't see where the registry of owners is. I don't see where the registry of who owns how many blasters. There's no legal process for me to sell my blaster to anybody else. Yep. There's no tracking of all of that stuff. And so I just, like, at the moment, we're in a recession. Like, surely, and I understand the concern and the distrust of the government. I mean, you know, we're currently under a prime minister who took over a prime minister that we didn't even vote for anyway. I understand that we distrust the government and they pull dirty tricks on us. It's obvious. You can see the Labor Party are trying to, salvage what they've got before the election, and the Courier Mail have made that pretty obvious. And so, I think, to be honest, I have not been. I've been in situations where I have been misled before.
Yeah.
And I've been in situations where red flags have arisen, and I've gone, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I've had people within the community message me and say, here's a red flag. And I'll go, okay, well, I'll keep an eye out for that. And haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Unless there's some giant conspiracy that I don't know about, and all of these other people that think that the earth is flat do, then I have no idea, because that meeting to me sounded very positive.
It did. And I mean, I remember one of the things that really surprised me, and I don't know, if you guys watching this podcast, maybe you can drop some comments below, but one of the guys who was attending the meeting made mention about everyone's concern about what's just taken place in Tasmania. And what I really liked was, QPS's response, which was, we're the Queensland Police Service.
Yeah, we're not Taspol. We're not Taspol.
And I think there was even another comment from one of the seniors in the room saying, do you want me to go and contact the head of the Tasmanian Police and tell him how to do his job, sort of thing? What do you think we're going to do?
Oh, I love that, actually. Yeah, Dave Nixon, Dave Nixon is a really good guy.
And an avid gel baller as well.
Yeah, I've refed him so many times. Yep. And he's turned around and he goes, look, in all honesty, I mean, I could email the guy and I could tell him what I think he's doing wrong, but he's just going to tell me to fuck off.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty good laugh at that. And I think that, honestly, like, everything that I said in that video regarding the onus being on the person who is owning the blaster, purchasing the blaster, is all fine. We don't have to, I currently work for a retailer. We don't have to, interview people and go, do I think that you are, if I get someone that comes in and goes, oh yeah, I pulled a knife on my neighbour one day, I'm just going to go, well, I'm not going to sell you anything.
Yep.
And if he goes, why? I'm going to go, well, you pulled a knife on your neighbour, get the fuck out. Obviously a lot more professional and polite than that. But, I think there's a lot of open. There's a lot of openness for moving forward, and that's what I see.
Yeah,
we're being seen as a legitimate community now. We're no longer this fringe. Oh God, these grown men playing with plastic toys, because these aren't Gen 8s anymore. These are like modifier XTPs.
Yep.
Or sorry, XTCs being converted to XTBs. Same thing, different caliber.
Yep.
But we're looking at some really high quality stuff, and we're looking at some really high quality performing gels. We're looking at high quality performing gear. We're looking at an internationally recognized sporting platform. We're looking at more of those being built. We're looking at countries like companies like yours going overseas. You know, like this is just getting bigger, and we're like, who in their right mind would go, oh, this is really good for the economy. Fuck it, let's get rid of it.
It's crazy. I mean, so I mean, for you guys in states where, local governments are wasting cash trying to restrict gel blasters or take them away from you, just move up to Queensland, because I'll tell you right now, the Queensland Government is enjoying the economic boost of gel blasters. It's a multi-$100 million industry. So, I mean, if those southern states don't want that and they don't like money, then, send your people up here and you can come play gel ball with us guys.
I think they're concerned with the crime, and I think that, like, what I would like to do personally in the background, so, like, I am doing content, but at the same time I'm keeping in contact with the Victorian Airsoft Association, who some people feel are being a little bit too getting ahead of themselves. Maybe they should get gel ball first. The Western Australian Airsoft Association are doing the same, but I'm also speaking with guys in South Australia who are having these issues where police are saying yes, they're legal, and then the next cop is saying no, they're not. And what I would like to do, and this is probably a call out that I can do now, is get people to, so very similar to what the associations did with the My Blaster Story hashtag thing, is write something that's up to 1,000 words that says, this is what gel ball has done for me. Companies, if they're willing to, release certain parts of their business activity statements and say, this is how much money we made, this is how much tax we paid. The positive mental health benefits, the fact that friends of mine have lost over 20 kilos and are now like super healthy, quit smoking, all of that stuff, and getting social, like kids with autism who struggle to make friends, who are out there making friends, just so many like positive social benefits that I don't think are being seen because guns are scary. And like Tasmania is very unfortunate at the moment, especially considering the fact that they've put Gen 8 gearboxes inside Nerf guns and that they're being taken away. Like, I understand the whole, 1996, it happened in Tasmania. I understand that's still a raw topic for them, but, there's a time where we have to grow up and move on and just accept that, just because one bad thing happened, and it was a horrible thing that happened, but that doesn't mean that this is the same thing at all. Just because like you can see someone get stabbed in the street with like a combat knife. Are you going to then go and ban people's kitchen knives at home?
Well, depending on the state that you live in, I wouldn't be surprised nowadays, I've got to say. But, it's pretty crazy. But look, I think that everything we're seeing in Queensland, it seems to be moving in the right direction. And what I really hope to see is that other Australian states look at what's happening up here. They look at the economic benefits and how QPS has been able to manage, the additional crime that the other states are worried about. And look at what this is doing for people in general, especially during a period like this where we've got COVID restrictions. It's absolutely amazing.
And this industry has boomed. Like, we've basically been like helping. We've been one of the very few industries who have been helping to keep Queensland afloat during this COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks for itself. I mean, look at Melbourne. Last I heard, when I was speaking to VAA and the LDP down there, they were down $50 billion, and that's just in spending.
Yep.
It's amazing. Like we can offer a solution, but we have to sell it in the right way. I for one, obviously, like I'm an avid advocate for getting airsoft in. However, I do believe that we need to be measured about that. A lot of people are saying, all right, cool, now let's ram an airsoft bill right up Mark Ryan's ass right before an election. Not an idea.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Let's try and help other states understand, like, let's invite them up here. Let's let them see for themselves. Let's send some testimonials down there. Let's send some facts and figures down there. Let's let them see for themselves and trial it in small parts of the community, see what will happen out of it, and go from there.
Exactly.
Because this this has so much potential, and I feel like it's just being shut down because of the whole fear of gun culture that we have in Australia. And I can understand the fear of gun culture because guns, I'm glad that we're not America. I'm glad that people don't just walk into Kmart and buy an Armalite rifle. I'm glad we don't have that. I'm glad that we have very strict firearm laws in Australia. But these are not firearms.
Yeah, they are legitimately toys.
Yeah, they're just toys.
Yeah.
Like you're all fine with paintball guns because they don't look like real firearms, but they do require a license.
Yeah.
I find it funny that New South Wales have just declassified them. I have a sneaking suspicion, and this is only sneaking suspicion, this is only my opinion, that it might also happen in Queensland as well, that they may join the restricted items list. However, the dual limit on the paintball may prevent that from happening, and it may stay in Cat A simply because it still has lethal potential. But there's so much, like, being bought into this infrastructure allows us to, it gives us a framework to build on.
Yeah.
It's and people are just like, I feel like a lot of people in this community are so short-sighted, and I'm going to call out all the retailers here on this one, like,
Except Ausgel.
No, especially Ausgel. No, like, is the retailers who are selling blasters interstate where they know they are illegal. Now, I've brought that up twice in police meetings. If looks could kill, I would look like I was hit by a train. Because, like, honestly, I feel as though these retailers are choosing short-term profits over long-term gain. All we're doing by sending blasters that are, like, you have no legal onus on you, and that's fine. You know, if you want to make money, I understand it, I get it, it's business. But for fuck's sake, like, can you please stop pissing off the other states and let us get it legalized there so you can make even more money? Like, can you not hold off a little bit? You're like a heroin addict that can't wait for a fix. Like, come on, bro. Like, just ease up. Let us do some light-handed political work with the people that need to be spoken to and try and get these things leveled out and legalized in these states, and stop sending them stuff. Like, in South Australia, they're fine, just no metal receivers and no gas. So you know what the retailers are sending them? Metal receivers and gas. Fucking stop it. What are you, like, come on. Like,
Hey, it's a fair point, you know. Yeah.
It's frustrating, and to the fact that you are blind to the fact that you are choosing short-term profits over long-term benefits, not only for the sport but for yourself, and for the fact that if we can legalize gel ball nationwide, or at least for the majority of the nation, we have a high chance of getting airsoft in. Now, like, you need to think long game here, because we want airsoft and we're not going to get it if you guys keep fucking around like this. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's one of those controversial topics, you know, because there are, you know, major retailers out there where their entire business model relies almost solely on their online sales. You know, it's you know, it's no secret out there. I'm doing a lot of work with M4A1 at the moment. One of the things I love about them is they've got a really strong focus on brick and mortar.
Yep.
Everyone jokes about it, you know, like you walk down the street and the next day there's another M4A1 store that just pops up.
I call Bill the octopus.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, they just pop up everywhere, and I mean, look, it's that's actually a really good thing for the industry up here in Queensland, because they're focusing on servicing Queenslanders, and I know through my work with them that they are very much anti, you know, sending gel blasters to states where they're illegal. So, you know, they're good in that regard. But I do know of others that, you know, rely on those online sales. And it's a tough one, you know, because from a business perspective, you sort of go, well, you know, the guys in that leadership, they're worried about their employees, and, you know, they want to make sure their business remains healthy. But then you've got, you know, the holistic opinion that you know, you've presented there, where, you know, I mean, well, look, this is just the start. And if you just stick to that and put everything at risk, then, you know, where does that leave the rest of the industry? So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean,
let me put it this way, okay? Like, retailers are the kind of guys that talk themselves up when they're trying to pick up a girl at the club, and then you take her home and you just disappoint her. Like, you ending it too quick, man. Like, slow down. Take your time.
What you guys can't see is that behind the camera, Cam's missus is actually having a really big giggle right now.
She's pissing herself laughing right now.
Oh, good stuff.
It's like, absolutely, like, just especially the ones that advertise it too, they openly state, yes, we send these, you know, interstate, and then now all the fear mongering is still continuing on you must, in capital letters, you must join a gel blaster club. And I say those words,
yes,
like, specifically a gel blaster club for $10 a month. Like, what do I get for $10 a month?
And you know what? Like, we'll make a comment on this. So I'm not going to call out who that retailer is. I think half the industry already knows.
We know.
But look, at the end of the day, the thing that I find is, you know, look, that could well be, you know, just a mistake. They may have, like, put that up there without any forethought or investigation. I mean, look, I'm guilty of it myself.
Yep.
I was called out by GelSoft Warrior, so hey Cam, about my warranty policy. And the truth was, I used a template from Shopify and had a policy that I was using when Ausgel was operating out of a garage. So, you know, I really didn't have the knowledge to be able to really put a proper warranty and return policy together. However, one thing that I completely acknowledged and took responsibility for was, you know, we're no longer in that industry in Australia where we're all operating out of garages or really tiny shops. You know, there's you know, much bigger retailers. It's far more progressed. And I think there really isn't an excuse to have those little mistakes. So that's one thing that I would recommend to retailers is it's a really good time right now, as the industry's going through this boom, to go through all the stuff that matters like that. You know, cross your T's, dot your I's, look at your policies, look at all your terms and conditions, make sure everything is above board and legal. Because as we move from small to medium-sized businesses, you know, you will be held accountable, you know, if not by the community, by
The
local law.
ACCC.
Yeah, ACCC.
There is a certain threshold. Once you spend a certain amount of money, there is an expectation on the person who you spent that money with to look after you to a certain degree, and that's not happening.
Yep.
I had one guy try and brag to me, oh, yeah, you know, those $1,000 blasters, you know how you were talking about warranty policies? I now do 60 days. And I'm like, slow clap.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, that's better than 30 days, but I think that we really need to be doing better by our customers. Like I want to buy $1,000 blaster. I won't buy $1,000 blaster because, for starters, with my spinal injuries, my hands don't work so well. So if it breaks, I can't fix it. I have to then pay somebody else to fix it. And it's probably going to break after my warranty policy runs out. So, like, that's not going to be free.
Yep.
I want to walk in and I want to find a retailer who will look after me after I've given them my money. I want them to see me as a loyal customer and keep me as a loyal customer and treat me with respect.
You know, and you raise a really good point there because, you know, I've got to say, from a business perspective, you know, for those who don't know, Ausgel, we wholesale to a very large, you know, portion of the industry. You see our stuff pop up everywhere. But one of the things I've learned, which is very ironic, is when I entered the industry, it was all about undercutting everyone, being as cheap as possible, you know, holding the Australian flag high and going down that path. And
so many people,
you know,
for that.
Exactly. And, you know, look, it was great to get in the industry, get all that exposure, don't get me wrong. But what I've since realised is as we've moved on the industry, you know, people will complain about the high cost of certain items. Yep. But these are the sorts of things that retailers need to deal with within the industry. So say, as an example, if you have, say, a grenade where the cost price is $80 and the retail price is $100 and you have one come back faulty, you just think out of that $20 that a retailer might be making, they've got to take care of tax, staff overheads, rent, and then any breakages. You know, so I mean, you know, you then got to sell 4 or 5 more grenades to cover the cost of that one. So, yeah, I mean, it's basically, sorry guys, I'm just like randomly waving at the camera there. We just had one of my friends. He's outside dancing now, just waving by. I think he's on his way out. So
I'll grab his details later.
Yeah, cool. But you know what I mean. You know, so I mean, with costing your business, just, you know, a piece of advice, I guess, for anyone getting into the gel blaster industry, it's not necessarily about who's got the cheapest price. You've got to really forward plan and future-proof your business and make sure that, you know, you've got enough to cover those costs. And that's why people see the price of things like gels go up.
Yeah,
you know,
and also, like, people don't realise how much it costs to have, like, now we're getting into quality there. We're just building cheap airsoft replicas, like an airsoft rip-off and sending it over, like the Mark III, or the when the Gen 8s first came out. And now it's getting to a point where airsoft companies overseas are converting them to gel ball and then sending them over. There's a cost involved in getting new molds made up. There's a cost involved in the engineering of that. It costs money to convert these things to gel ball. It's not just as simple as finding a piece that magically exists and putting it in there and making it happen.
Exactly right. I mean, you know, you look at this whole process. I mean, you know, legally we can't like just grab, you know, an already built airsoft gun and then convert it to gel ball and import it that way, because that's still, you know, a very naughty thing to do. But what instead happens is companies have to pay for all the research costs overseas to have these things converted overseas. And then once they're converted, they then have to redevelop that product, remanufacture that product so that it's manufactured as a gel blaster and then bring it over that way.
Doesn't it have to be done in a different factory as well?
It depends on the country. But yeah,
I think Australian customs don't... it could be a rumour, I could be wrong, but I heard that Australian customs, if it comes from an airsoft factory, will instantly send it back unless they're parts.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, look, it exists out there. I mean, there's some factories that do both gel blasters and airsoft, and there haven't been any issues there with customs so far. You know, I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want to give away any hints, but definitely, you know, it's something that's okay to do at the moment. But I know that one of the most important things is that the product that you import is manufactured for that purpose of being used as a gel blaster. So,
well, and that's the point. Yeah, it must fire a gel. It must fire a gel. Yep. I've had people walk into the store and go, "Oh, so these will fire BBs?" No. Can you convert them to fire BBs? No. And if you ask me one more question about BBs, I'm going to be telling you to leave
Stop
the store.
asking that question. If you go into a store and ask that question, you know, you're putting that store in a very awkward situation.
Vaz is probably going to hate me for saying this, but I've actually hung up on a couple – well, not hung up. I've had a couple of customers call and they want very large sales.
Yep.
Like, oh, look, I really want to buy this, and this. And, you know, the money racks up and then he goes, oh, because the problem is, and I'm like, look, my recommendation, and I'll say this now too, my recommendation is always go into the store, put your hands on the blaster, try the blaster in your hands, see how it feels, because you don't want to buy online and get something and go, what is this cheap plastic crap? You want to pick something up and go, okay, I like this. You want to shoot it and go, okay, I like how this shoots. And that's why I like the M4A1, encourage people to do the brick and mortar thing. Like when they opened Capella Bar and they said, we've got gas pistols, but you're going to have to go to Capella Bar to get them.
Yeah. That's
rewarding the customer to go into the brick and mortar. And I think that's a fantastic tactic. Go in, try the blaster. And so, I kind of forgot what I was saying, but yeah, this guy would ring up and he would go, oh, the problem is I can't get into a store because I'm in Melbourne. I'm like, well, dude, you do understand that they're illegal in Victoria. And he goes, oh, are they? And I said, yeah. And I said, look, at this point, I'm going to have to cease this conversation. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm not going to sell to you and have a nice day. And I've done that twice. And I've refused service to 2 people so far based on just what my belief their intent was with their blasters.
And now you're going to be sacked by Vaz. Hey, Vaz.
You won't sack me. You love me.
All right, look, well, Cam, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Mate, tell us how we can find you on social media.
So you can find me, Kamikaze. I have an open public profile. It's not my private Facebook profile. It's an open public profile. I also have a page, Kamikaze TV, on Facebook. It's all ridiculously spelt, so you'll obviously have to look the links in the video. And you'll find me at Kamikaze TV on YouTube as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, mate, Cam, thank you so much for coming along today.
No worries, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we're thrilled to have you on board and be sponsoring your channel as well. Fantastic stuff. And guys, as always, I'm Dan from Ausgel. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube under Ausgel, also on Instagram at Ausgel Ammo, and we're on TikTok, and also our website is www.ausgel.com.au. Thanks, guys.
You shouldn't admit you're on TikTok.
Oh, I know, it's terrible. Bye.